Hey, what's up? It's John from the YouTube channel Pro Craps. Back in 2021, we did a 24-hour telethon to raise funds for the National Council on Problem Gambling. In fact, we raised over $6,000 to raise awareness and provide resources for those with gambling problems. As part of the telethon, we interviewed over 20 of the biggest names in gambling to get their perspective on gambling issues, gambling problems, their experiences, and of course have a little bit of fun with them. Here's my conversation with Joe from Craps Master Journey. Reset the recording here. So as you know, Joe, we're talking about gambling problems all day, right? And
yes,
a big part of it is bankroll, money management, all of that stuff. And I know nothing about your history in the game. Do you have a long history playing games in the casinos? Are you new to this, or how does that work for you?
I am by far the newest person you have on the guest lineup here. I actually started playing about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, and it was mostly on bubble craps for the first couple of years. And originally what happened is I was going to the casino up in Green Bay, and I was playing for a couple of years, and there's this one guy that I ran into that always played. He always played the real table on that. But when the table was fully full over to the bubble craps, and finally one day he said, "Hey, Joe, come over and play on the table." So I bought $100. And I lost it in about 5 or 10 minutes, so it was a fast run, and it really scared me. So, I went back to the bubble craps, and, and at the time I was watching Jacob's, Wager Me This, all his videos and that, and learning strategy and trying different things out in this and that. And, and I really wanted to get over to the real table, because that's where the action's at. That's where the fun's at. That's where, a lot of things are happening now. And again, it's scary. So I thought, I'm the type of person that I kind of go over the top on things. Kind of like you, John, I set the standard high, I set the bar high, and then I make myself earn it, So I thought, okay, how can I learn this game? So I built my own table, and in the research phase of building my table, I looked online, and there was not a single site that I could find that had a complete table built from start to finish, in detail, measurements, all that type of stuff. So what I did is I found, somewhere between 30 to 50 sites, and I just kind of pieced everything together, and YouTube was one of the places that I did research on how to build the table. So I thought, well, why not start a channel? If I'm looking, there's obviously other people that are looking, and kind of everything goes from there. Once I got the table built, I'm like, okay, now what? I love teaching just like you. So I started, creating videos. I do a little bit of computer programming aside, self-taught. So I made my own little dice tracker program. So I record all my dice rolls and everything. But I was at the point where, okay, I need content. So then I went into that 10 tournament strategy. And I don't know if everybody caught my interview with Brian about a week or so ago. He asked, hey, how did you come up with the strategies? And I said, basically, I just YouTubed it, and that was the top 10 strategies that came up, So obviously they were the most popular at the time that I had searched it. So, that's just, right now I'm in an exploration phase. I'm trying to find myself. I'm trying to see, what I can offer to you guys right now. I know Jacob from Wager Me This is kind of calling out some of us newer YouTubers, to make sure we come up with some original content and that. And hey, that's a great idea. I would love to, but that I'm kind of in a phase right now. I'm trying to find myself. Jeff is bringing out a lot of stuff that his subscribers are bringing to him. And I'm finally getting to that stage now, because I hit over the 400 mark for subscribers. And hey, thanks, guys.
Fantastic.
And I finally got my. Yeah, it is. We started at about the same time. We're about a month apart from starting, and you're just blowing it away, which is awesome. Brian's interview helped dramatically from that front. I've increased probably just in the last 2 weeks alone, probably about 60 subscribers. So that's awesome. Yeah, but that's kind of my history,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny
how
how
my history happens.
Yeah, the YouTube thing is interesting because, and like you said, we're both new at this, right? Relatively new.
Yes.
I think my first video released in June or something like that. And I think at the time, you were still doing your table build videos, right? So I had done a couple of
Probably, yeah.
strategy, I did a couple of strategy math analysis type videos. So I had a little bit of a head start because I was more craps content. You were
Uh-huh.
more niche build part of it. I went back and watched
Correct.
your
That
stuff
was, yeah.
afterwards, and I'm like, holy crap, this guy is fantastic. Like the build, because I'm first to admit it, right? Like I don't have the bone or the whatever
Mhm.
the ability to build stuff. I like to think I can. I can fix a lot of things, but I can't conceive
Yeah.
and build. Like I can, and I think you have to have a brain for that. Like in computer programming, I'm a back-end developer, what they call a back-end developer. I can
Sure. Sure.
program on the front. I can make a UI, but I can't conceive of a UI, and I can't conceive how a
Okay.
table gets built and how the structure works and all that stuff. But I
Uh-huh.
can fix it if it breaks. That's you know what I'm saying. That's why when I
Sure.
watched your video on that, I was like, that's how it all works. That's how support works, and I totally got it. And like that's
Yeah. Yeah.
great. So
I'll tell you what, it took a lot of planning. I researched this probably about 2 or 3 months before I actually decided to pull the plug and to do it. Um, and I'm no master carpenter. I think you told me I was, but I'm not. I dabbled. I enjoy making things, and this just happened to be one of them. Um, and now my big passion is trying to teach everybody the game.
mhm.
I'm by no means a professional. Like I was watching Jacob yesterday. I was watching Ken last night with you. Who else did I watch? Who was after Ken last night?
Oh geez.
Big AZ.
Oh,
Big
Big AZ.
AZ.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
I mean, you got some heavy hitters on this lineup here, and I am by far the lowest and by
No.
far the newest. And but hey, I've come a long ways, and that's the big thing. And I've been
Mhm.
playing active real table for almost a year. So you were kind of talking to Zaf about being a new player and how we can bring that experience. Fire
Mhm.
away, man. That would be me as well. I'm a new person. You know, um, Even though my title is Craps Master, everybody forgets that journey at the end. Because this is a journey. Start to
Yeah.
finish.
Well, it's funny. You
So
actually tore a guy apart, which not tore him apart, but I mean, I love it when people are honest, right? And somebody gave you shit in your channel,
yeah,
like in your comments, or it's comments or YouTube or
yeah.
on Facebook, and they're like,
It was on Facebook
"What kind of
actually.
master are
You
you?" And you're
know,
like, "Dude, like
yeah,
journey. I'm on a journey. I'm not the master yet." I love like
exactly,
that was so
exactly.
great. Um, yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was awesome, and I think it's good,
How
right?
can you
And
respond to these people positive wise? How can you be positive when a lot of people, and Brian even said, hey, there's a lot of people are going to come at you. The more people you get, the more people that come at you. And, you
yep.
know, guys, this is a difficult job to
Oh,
teach,
it's
deal, whatever, and there are a lot of good people out there. Like I said, a lot of us YouTubers are not the most knowledgeable craps people. We're not. There's
right.
people out there who've been doing this 30, 40, 50 years, but they're not putting the videos out. They're not the ones that are showing to people. We're jumping out there on a ledge. We're putting ourselves out there,
Yes.
and gotta give us a little bit of room here, guys. Just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, the thing of it is, and I said this the other day. I should put your name out here too. The the reason why I think the channel is important to me, my channel is important to me, is because it holds me accountable. Right? It's like
Yes.
you're gonna go live, and and I use the word pro craps in my name, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
use the word master, craps master journey, and
Master.
I think
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
when you do that, I'm going to put your name on the screen here. By the way, I didn't do that before.
Yeah. No
When you
problem.
do that, it's you got to be accountable to yourself, right? You're putting it out there like I got to perform, right? And I think that
That
makes you
is
better. Makes you better.
That is a big part of it, John. It really is. But I remember watching when I first started doing YouTubes, and when you started, your biggest thing, and this is in one of your first videos, you said, "Hey, I'm no pro. I'm striving to become.
Hmm.
I'm trying to do daily activities as if I was, so that way I will become."
Yep.
And I remember you talked about that in one of your earlier videos. I
Yeah.
do watch you.
I mean, you can be a professional level player without being a professional player. Right. And that's kind of how I describe myself, is like I play at a pro level, but I'm not a I don't do this for a living. Because I don't want to I'm not going to put my family at risk, for one. And you'll hear tomorrow when Ken talks about this tomorrow, when you go professional, like it's no health insurance. You're not eating. It's if you lose today, you're not paying your rent. Like there's a different level of stress there that we don't have to worry about. So, but I like to kind of I like to level it up. And I think to me, that's what the channel's all about, is giving me a reason to be good. And I honestly, and you know this, we have subscribers out there. Gaynor Mason Rob from Australia is one of them.
Okay. Yes.
He's a great example because I mess up my dealing all the time. You do too, right? Greg has messed up his dealing, and you make a mistake while you're dealing to yourself in a YouTube video, and Gaynor is like, next day you got a paragraph about where you screwed up. At the 18-minute mark, you paid yourself $7 instead of $6 or whatever, you know.
I haven't had that. I have Whalen and Durso at me.
Oh, there you go.
But they're awesome. We need people like them. We really do.
Yeah, but you need that, right? You need those guys to hold you accountable, because that makes you, okay, people are watching intently and they're watching every roll that I make, and folks are playing along with you while you're rolling out your dice. Like I just rolled for fun here for 15 minutes, and people are chatting.
And I was watching a little bit.
Yeah, they're chatting in the chat room. Oh, I just made $300 on you. Like they're playing along with you, and I think that's important for us to know as YouTubers, whatever. It's people, they actually are tied in. So you are newer at the game. I've been playing craps for 20 something years now, right? You just did.
And I'm about on 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Yep. So you just did the series where you did the tournament, right? You've done some bubble craps. I want you to hit on 2 points. One is, you said you were a little bit nervous about joining a real table. I was too. My first time playing craps, somebody gave me money because they couldn't go to the casino. They said, here, take this $10. I want you to go pass line and hard 10. Right. And I literally bought in for $10 and put those 2 bets out for a friend of mine. That was my first time at a craps table. Right. Because I did not know how to play the game.
Hard 10 last night.
Awesome. And craps is intimidating because you feel like everybody there knows what they're doing and you're the one that doesn't. And it's kind of tough to walk up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Last night I played the table. I played for about 2.5 hours, and I was actually playing a combination of 3 different strategies. But after I was done, I up and down. I bought it for $500. I ended up winning like $70. So that's not bad after 2.5 hours just kind of playing around. And I was up, with my girlfriend, and I was waiting for her to get done. So I sat at the bubble craps, and there was a lady sitting next to me actually at the bubble craps machine, and her husband deals at a casino in Milwaukee. And, she said she does not like playing the real table because she's afraid of what people are going to be saying about her, how she's betting, because she has some knowledge, but not a ton of knowledge, And that's a good point to bring up, John. It is scary at first if you don't know 100% what you're doing, unless you have no fear. You just jump in and say, hey, I'm new, help me out here. And there are people that do that, Another one last night, same thing, took the hook spot right next to this dealer and said, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. Help me out, So then they, put it on the pass line or don't pass or, whatever, So.
Yeah, I can relate. Because I wish when I was younger there was bubble craps. There wasn't, there was only tables and you had to figure it out.
Sure.
And what I would do is, and it's funny, like my journey into this thing, when I first started, of course I was watching a lot of VCR, I watched a lot of Patrick, but before I really got into that, when I would go to the table, I would go to the corner, I would go to the hook, and I would hide by the dealer, right? Because I didn't want anybody to see what I was doing. Because the same thing.
That's where everybody's gonna be watching, is right there.
Well, the thing is, if you're at the very corner where the dealer is, right, and you're kind of slow rolling your bets, and I remember whispering like, a $12 6 and 8, and just kind of, slide my money to him a little bit and not know what I was doing. Well, that's where all the don't bettors are, right? And I say to this day, I hunt down the table by looking at I look at the hook. And I see, is there old guys with a bunch of black chips in the hook? And if there are, table's cold, that's where I'm going to play. Or at least I know it's cold and I can make a decision. But by playing in the hook, I learned how to play the don't because I was around the cigar smoking old guys making all the money. And that's how I learned it. It's kind of funny. That's like where I got my way, because I was so scared to play. And I think it's a personality thing. I think some of us are wallflowers, right? I was the guy at the high school dance that would sit in the back and look like a badass, hoping the girls would come to me. They never came, and I never talked to anybody, right? And that's, if you approach craps that same way, you're kind of in the same, right? I mean, so I got
last night it was kind of fun.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's right. Finish up.
Last night, it was kind of funny because I was one of the, I'm a hybrid player also. That's my style of play. Last night I was playing hedgeless. I was playing my new subscriber strategy that I'm rolling out right now, and I was playing out skilled rocks strategy. But it was kind of funny because I was, putting don't pass bet on a table, and I was the only one, and it was hilarious because everybody's kind of laughing at you. Hey, he's betting against us,
Oh no, we lost him.
Don't pass in here, but I'm gonna start putting some place numbers. Transition it over to the light side here. It was nice because I kind of, I was up and down above that even line, and until the end, the last two shooters, myself was one of them. I had a couple of good rolls that brought me into that positive. But it is hilarious watching people. They do not like dark side players. And I think a lot of them have a hard time with that whole hybrid strategy. You're the dark side or light side. There's no in between. But really, there is an in between. People strategy.
They take it very personal, and everybody's talked about it. That's not. It's funny. The dark side has become a thing. Like, used to be, dark side players were like really quiet about it. Now, here's an interesting point, right? When you go to YouTube, except for Jeremy's channel, right? Everybody who's on YouTube teaching strategies, we're all relatively hybrid to dark, right? We all kind of, right? And that's the reason for that is because that's where the math takes you, and that's where the longevity takes you. But the books never do that. The dealers never tell you that. And frankly, I always rail on about crapless craps, and I say crapless craps is crap because there's no dark side to it. Anytime the casino takes a bet away from you, it was because it was beating them. They don't do that because they feel like it, right? And they've taken half the game away, and they've made the other half of the game worse. What's worse than having a pass line bet and the point becoming a 2? You know what I mean? That's the worst thing.
I would love to try crapless just once. I have not really tried it. I don't have access to it around here. I know your biggest thing is the roll of the wind topic now. Nearest roll of the wind is in Milwaukee, which is like an hour and a half trip. And I just learned that last night from the lady that was sitting next to me. That they have a roll of the wind table down there. And I think the buy-in in Milwaukee is like anywhere between $15 to $25 is the table minimum on the regular table. That to me, I'm a single father. $15 to $25 buy-in, that's our minimum bet. That's a lot for me.
Yeah.
I'm used to Green Bay, which is we have $10 on weekends, $10 minimum bets. And that's about right for me. During the week, it's nice. Get spoiled if I can make it up there. It's $5 minimums up there, But again, where you're raising money for people that have problems, and bankroll management, I know that is a big thing for you. It's huge for me too. I'm not as structured as you are, but I'm working in that direction. Trying to build a bankroll, and I don't spend money unless it's specifically for that, and that's a big part of
that's super smart.
Craps for me.
Super smart.
I try to get up once a week to play, but if I don't have money, I go 3-4 weeks before I get back up to play, at the casino. So
those minimums are tough.
The one of them. It is.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, especially if you want to regress, right? Or even not if you're a regression player, but you got nowhere to go. Like, it's nice to have, even on a $5 table, I might roll out $30 bets, but I can go somewhere from there. If I feel like it's too long of a roll or whatever, I'm getting this, I can always drop to $10. But if it's at 15 already, you're kind of at where you wanted to drop to, and they're forcing you.
Sure.
It makes it hard for a low budget player to get in there and play. It's really tough.
You have to be creative. Like last night, I was using headless, and normally I'll do the $10 with the headless, which is, minimal.
Yeah.
But last night I was doing your $25. I was doing $25 don't pass, $25 come, but I was throwing 6 and 8 out for 12 each, and that gave me a little bit of flexibility. If I needed to bring my bets down some, I could pull the 6 and 8 off. Then so that was $24 that I could save there. In order to make it affordable at times. Or if the roll is going in a way I don't like, it gives you a little bit of flexibility. So.
Yeah, that's the skill and luck way of doing it, right? I like that a lot.
I do. It worked out nice. It did. One time, it took off. I had a 6 and 8 up there. It allowed me to expand out then. By the time I started with the headless, by the time I got done, I had all 6 of the numbers placed.
That's awesome.
Which worked out really nice. It is, and it was bought for, it was taken off of profits.
Yeah, the horseman's success is seen when you're not playing it anymore. Right? Like I just demonstrated that, right? You play it to get going. And if 3 shooters in, you're still playing the headless horseman, something's going wrong. Like you should be out of it by then. You should transition to all don't comes or all place bets or something like that. That's the problem with it, right? If you're still in it, that's why it didn't win your tournament, by the way, because it doesn't survive over and over and over again. You need to use that as a move to something else, kind of a strategy. So, but I'm not holding it against you.
Exactly.
It's okay.
No. I understand.
It's
and Brian's all excited because it's one, but hey, every strategy that was in there has their pluses and their minuses. They really do. It just happened that, with your 5 rollers on your strategy, you got the worst end of the stick really.
Got crushed.
And Brian's, a great example. He got beat by a 3-point blender early in the tournament, big time. But then at the end, he beat him twice in a row. So
what's funny is
any given day.
I've tried. And we'll talk strategy for a minute. I've tried the 3-point blender. And when I first got on YouTube, I got stuck in the rabbit hole like you probably did, right? I was watching a lot of Jeremy. Everybody watches Color Up. And one of the early channels that I got hooked into.
I don't watch a lot of Jeremy. I love his videos. Extremely professional. I watched some, but my big one was Jacob. And you, John.
Interesting.
I remember my 2.
I found Jeremy first. Yeah, I found Jeremy first, and I found Wager later. Actually, I was on Jeremy and Bone Thrower and El Toro was my first 3 big watches, right? As far as strategy stuff goes. And then I found 36 Full Press, and he had a ton of content out there. And for a while, Joe, your video's frozen, but I want to mess with it right now. But 36 Full Presses, the 3-point blender was the thing. It was like the headless horseman of a year ago. It was like everybody was playing that thing. I have never. Well, I think we lost him.
I'll be back.
Oh, there you go. Hey, I have played the blender. I've lost my ass on that thing every time I tried it. I can't get the bet set. When I play the blender, I can never get all 3 points going. Something always whacks me. I get the 11 in the don't come. I get the 7 out early. I get the point hit. I've just never been able to get the thing set. And then when I do, it's a $9 win. And I'm like, you know what? I can't make it work. I tried it. El Toro did the El Toro style blender. That's great. He plays at like the $600 level. I'm like, yeah, I'm not bringing $30,000 to the casino to try a head strategy. So I'm surprised that it got as far as it did.
Yeah, I never tried to blender add the actual table in a casino, but I have tried it on the bubble craps, and it's very difficult because a lot of times if you have a pass or don't pass bet, they won't let you place the bet later on, on that point. So, it was very difficult. So what I would have to do all the time is I altered it on the bubble craps where I would actually place every number before the come out. And then after the come out, I pull everything down except for the one. Yeah.
That's a cool way to back into that. I like that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It is what it is.
Let me ask you this. So you're rolling in now to your new series is going to be what? You're doing a build a bankroll, is that right?
I started it. I have 3 videos in. I'm kind of halting it a little bit. I need to find something that I'm happy with on a consistent basis for a
Okay.
strategy. I love a lot of the Vince strategies, and that's what I was starting to do in this build a bankroll. And it was an awesome strategy when I rolled it out. Not like you, John. When I rolled it out, I was making money, 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 money. And all of a sudden, I get on camera. It's like I lose, 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 lose. And it's just like that camera has the power over the dice. I think.
It does.
So I need to find that strategy that I'm comfortable with, both on and off camera. Um,
Yeah.
so what I'm moving over right now, and I'll come back to the build a bankroll because that is a huge topic for me. That is part of the journey going forward for Craps Master Journey. How can a person start from the beginning and get up to having a bankroll of 5,000, 10,000, even 100,000. If you go at it long enough. Um, my goal, like you already have this bankroll set up. This is what I'm working on right now. I'm
Hmm.
stuck with $300 to $500 buy-ins, but I would love to walk in a casino and have $1,000 buy-in and not even worry about it. Right
Hmm.
now $300 is the I don't worry about money.
Yep.
Last night I happened to have $500 I brought in, and I walked out with 570. That was awesome. $70 in the account.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
you know,
the thing is, it's hard to do. I got lucky with mine because, a personal story here for me, we, so my gambling account was at almost zero for the longest time because my kids go to a private
sure.
school, right? So, and everybody should know this too, right? Like I coach my kids. I coached Zach in baseball for all these years. And so Zach, my son, played baseball from when he was 7 years old all the way through high school, and he went to a private school. And we paid for baseball, right? You pay for the summer league baseball, which is like $3K a year.
Traveling league or whatever.
Yeah,
That's expensive. It
it's
is.
right. My daughter plays travel league volleyball, also very expensive. My son went to Division 3 school to play baseball, which they give you academic money, but there's no athletic scholarships available at D3 schools. So between
Exactly.
school and baseball summer and the college, it was like it's killing us, right? So like, yeah,
Yeah.
there's no going to the casino, and I think that's part of our show here too, right? There's no going to the casino when that's your life situation and you
Yeah.
just stop going.
Exactly.
But the good thing is that I do computer programming, so I was able to get some side work. And so a good friend of mine, really good friend of mine, she was the CTO of a software startup here in Seattle, and I worked for her for about 5 or 6 months getting her infrastructure set up. And all the money that I made from that, we paid off the school, and I put money in
Uh,
the bank, and I started the channel. Like all that money came in like during the first part of COVID.
sure.
And it's like, hey, I got a table now. I can do this. I can do this. I can practice, and 401(g) account starts getting money in it, and now I can do it. And it's like, it was not like my regular salary is enough to pay our bills. This was like extra money, and
It
totally
came at a
started
good
the thing.
time.
Yeah, it came at the perfect time. And now that Zach's out of college, the college is done. We're done paying for that now. And it's like, hey, we take that breath. And when you can gamble, when you're like in that I can take a breath mode, your whole life changes.
Mhm.
Like you don't need to like
Yeah.
stress. And man, that's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is. Again, the journey is getting to that point, getting to the point where you don't have to worry, where you can have money, to, percentage out for each visit, to take that trip to Vegas. I was talking to one of my subscribers the other day, and he said, "You've never been to Vegas?" I said, "No, I haven't. I have a couple casinos around here. I've been on a cruise. I gambled did craps for a week on the cruise, and that was another one. John, I had a set budget. You go in. This is my budget daily per session,
Mm-hmm.
and you make it last for the whole week or the 3 days or whatever you're going to do, and be disciplined. I know I was listening to Ken last night, extremely disciplined. I'm obviously not as disciplined as he is,
Mm-hmm.
but that is one of the goals. Go in with a set win goal and get out. For some of us, I travel about almost an hour to get to the casino. So my trips are not as frequent as say maybe you are,
Mm-hmm.
or the people that actually have access to the casinos. So I tend to do 2 or 3 sessions when I'm there. Um, or like last night, I only did one session. It was 2 hours long, and I was up and down. I was, at that even point. And finally, I got up. I'm like, "No, guys, this is enough. Before I go back down,
Right.
let's take that $70 and run." Where my goal actually was last night to make $100 to $125. So I got close. Didn't quite hit the
Mhm.
goal, but I got close enough, and I said that's enough. So.
Yep. Well, it's like Jacob said earlier, and Ken said it too. You go there for an hour, hour and a half, and you win $70. Most people don't make $35 an hour, right? And that's what you
Exactly.
did, right? And you got to remember that. That's
Exactly.
actually really solid work, you know.
Yeah,
So
it is.
it's good stuff. Um, got a lot of people showing up in chat. This is great. I see Arnell came. That's great. Arnell, welcome. There you are.
Morning, Ronell.
Yep. Yeah, everybody's waking up now, right? This is
There.
great. Yeah, right. So,
I
Craps-a-Thon's here
see. I
too.
see your ladies are back again.
Yep. Craps-a-Thon is here. This is great. Yeah, we're still talking. Can you believe I'm still talking for all this time? So I got to ask you now. So you're going to start something new, right? You were going to go into like maybe the build a bankroll thing. You ran the tournament, and you've played for a
Yes.
few years now. I think the tournament is probably really cool. I watch a lot of tournament play because I'm in the Color Up group, right? I watch a lot of Fantasy Craps. I watch
Sure.
they have a tournament that goes, and you see a lot of folks' strategies. Now you've had your fingers on 10 of the best strategies out there. You ran those, what,
Uh-huh.
how many games, with 42 games, whatever it
It
was, that
was
was the whole.
19 matches, but it was actually 29 videos I made. So.
Yeah. So what is your takeaway from all that? Like after all that, you probably have a good sense of what's going to win, when, and in what conditions. Like what was the favorable role for which strategy? Do you have a sense of where you feel like if you're going to start building something new, what's the base you want to build from, and which one of those things sort of resonated to you the most?
Uh, to me, you talk about like table trends. I have a hard time picking up on table trends.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do, it's almost like Monday morning quarterback type thing. It's like, oh, I should have saw that, type thing, but I don't.
Yep.
So I'm a lot like the hybrid. Try to protect yourself in the beginning to get that base. Get to that free roll as fast as possible. And as soon as you get to the free roll, then you can start pushing out. I like doing a lot of half pressing in that. That's my way of increasing my bet size and all that. Results of the tournament, though, I found, John, that a lot of the strategies are the same once you
Mm-hmm.
get into it.
Yeah.
Their setup is different. Brian uses 140 on the 4. Jacob uses whatever on the 10.
Mm-hmm.
Some people lay the don't pass and throw odds on it. All the intro stuff is different, and that's where you got to find what you're comfortable with. But once you get going, a lot of it's the same. You either power press or you half press or you don't press. It's one of those three things.
Yep.
And I found when I had Jacob against Brian's HCS hybrid against Wage Minus One Hit Can't Miss. Once I got past the introductory stage, they were both increasing half pressing at the same time. And I was thinking to myself as I'm rolling this out, okay, how am I going to find a winner? They're going to tie here, unless one of them gets hit on a come out, which is what happened with Jacob. He got hit twice on that. I think the one time I rolled it out. And that's the only reason he lost. Otherwise, he would have essentially tied.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm finding with a lot of the strategies. A lot of them are the same once you get going. You're hedgeless. If you transition to the light side, you eventually get to the point where you're doing what everybody else is doing.
Exactly.
Or if you transition to the dark side, you're behind, but you still are doing the same thing.
Yep.
Or if you transition to the dark side, same thing. Last night I was doing a lot of that where I was getting 15 rolls in with either myself or somebody else shooting, and I'm like, this is getting to be a little bit too long here. So I would start, taking my winning off, and I'd throw it into DC, and run it through that way then, which is a big part of it. So if the place bet hit, take the profit, kind of like the I can't believe this wins type strategy. But that's not something you have to do right from the beginning. You can make that decision to transfer over, and that's the nice thing about playing hybrid styles. You can bounce back and forth and not have to worry about sticking to one brand, if you will.
That's right. Yeah, it's well stated that everything ends up being almost the same. Like you end up,
It
everybody's
does.
goal is to get inside or across at some point and have it paid for. It's a
Yeah.
matter of when they get there and how safe they are on the way to it. And you got these,
Correct.
the one hit can't miss. It's one hit, right? You got to survive a
Yeah.
roll to get there. Brian stuff, sometimes you got to survive 2 rolls to get there. It just depends. With the Horseman, it takes
Sure.
4 rolls to get there, maybe 5, and when I talked to like David at Casino Quest or the guys, Jason over at Sin City Living, they're dealers,
Yeah.
right? And dealers are inherently aggressive when they play. Um, and they will tell you the only way to make money is to, get the long roll, the hour-long roll. Otherwise, you're just going to tread water.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so we've talked, and he will say things like, "Oh, if you regress, you're going to be behind the shooter," right? True. There's truth in that, right? And the Horseman, I said I've used it and I've had long rolls. I've been a part of long rolls when I've started with that thing, and you could be 9 or 10 rolls in before you're set to foundation with that thing, but you were safe the whole time. And if the shooter throws 61 rolls, so you scored on 51 of them and not on 9 of them,
Yeah.
you're going to be okay in that situation, right? If that's the role you're going for, you're going to be fine. And so I think the safety net is okay to have. And I think people forget to realize a little bit of that. So
Yeah, it is. It is. It's difficult. Like you said, table trending. It's hard to get into. You don't know how long it's going to go, so you need the flexibility to be able to bounce back and forth and go whichever direction the table is bringing you once you figure it out.
Yep.
And I think the Horseman is nice because it leads you in naturally. That's what I like about it. It leads you naturally. You don't have to fight to get into that strategy.
That's right.
Where a lot of the other ones set you up to go that way. You don't have the flexibility to go either way.
Yeah, and the thing is that with trending is hard, and you've said it, and we've all said it, right? Trends are easy to spot after they happen, right? That's the whole point of trending. It's like, oh shit, I was in a trend, and what do I do? How do I, I should have saw it coming, right? And you can't, the woulda, coulda, shoulda thing will kill all of us, right? That you can't play that way. And like I always say, my point on trending, and I'm glad that Michael Shackelford's actually in the waiting room. He can hear me talking now. My point on trends always is you hit the trend when it starts, and the only way to do that is to guess, right? And it's a guessing game. And like when I look at a game like Baccarat, where Baccarat, the only way to win it is you either bet banker every single time, and at some point you're going to get 4 or 5 in a row. You better be betting on it when it happens, or you follow the shoe. And when you get a trend, you're going to be on it. Black, red, and roulette, same thing. That's where you're going to make it. You can't see it coming. All you can do is say, oh, it happened twice. I'm betting. And then you're saying, well, if I'm going to be on a positive trend, I got it on the second one. We'll take 2 or 3 and be fine. If it dips for you, then you missed it. Big deal. And if you're going to bet that way, that's okay. Craps is harder because the trends, there's a million bets, right? Like you're not going to find a trend in roulette betting the inside numbers. You're going to find a trend in roulette on red, black, odd, even, whatever. Craps, you're going to find trends on, come out winners or, point winners or not, box numbers or not, high numbers or low numbers. You'll find trends in those areas. And if you see one, you go, oh, look, that's, two high numbers in a row. Maybe this is the time where it happens. And you jump.
Sure.
You might catch it.
You throw in this idea too. I mean, there's all the different types of shooters. You have your random shooters. Last night I had a lady on the hook who just started playing. She rolled almost 30 rolls last night. How do you predict that?
You can't.
And you have one guy that had like a 20 roller. So I thought, okay, he's gonna be safe the next time I come around. He ends up rolling 3. It's. You look for trends, but you also have each shooter does differently every single time, that you roll. It's difficult, and that's what makes it in the casino's favor. These odds are
totally
in the casino's favor because of that,
Well, the casino, in the casino, the math. They make their money long term, right? And if you chase it around, you're feeding the beast if you chase it around too much. Like I said, to me, that you look for early markers on big things that are obvious. I don't look for trends on the 6. I look for trends on inside numbers, 1, 2 in a row. maybe
Sure.
we're here. And if you catch it, you catch it. And it's literally
Yeah.
catching it at the time the spike starts. If you can get there, you get there. And I look at things in that micro,
Yeah.
not the macro. And I think that's where I win, I guess. It also bites
Yeah.
me a lot, right? Because you're theorizing what's going to happen. There's no fact behind that.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Like last night, I was actually rolling good last night. Each time I touched dice, it was 12, 15 or more. And usually the first 2 or 3 times when I roll, I get 3 rolls and out. Last night I hit like 15 rolls my first roll, and I was playing the hedgeless, and it was amazing, John. I hit the 10 4 times in a row last night.
Oh my goodness.
And if I would have parlayed, I would have been like, yeah, but I had zero money under because I had the hedgeless coin, and actually I did have money under. I had 2 comebacks that hit it, and I knocked them off right away, which was nice. I got my money back, And then after that, I was getting nothing, But then, using the same dice set 2 rolls later, 2 shoots later, I was doing the same thing on the 6. That's where the trending also occurs too. In that dice, per time that you're rolling, you can do everything the same, but it just seems like certain numbers come up, a lot.
Yep. And that's so hard to explain, isn't it?
It is. It is. And how can you use the same dice set like I was last night? And the first time I was hitting that 10, the next time I was hitting that 6. I was playing a different strategy at the time. I had $180 all paid for off of profits on that 6. That it just kept on power pressing and pressing up, and I got to the point where I was making enough profit where I didn't have to worry about the pressing up. So, which is a good position to be in.
Right. And it's, like I said, the harder part of the whole thing is you can't predict when that's going to happen. And what you're hoping for is the roll that breaks the probability, right? If everything went the way that the 1 out of 36 ought to be, nobody wouldn't make any money. So there's going to be times where the 6 7s that are supposed to come in the second set of 36 rolls, not the first. That's your long roller, right? And if you can find the roll that breaks what should happen, if you're lucky enough to be there, that's what you're saying. That's your 4 10s.
Exactly.
That should never happen. But when it does happen, if you're on it, congratulations. But you can't predict it.
And I happen to be kind of on it, but
you're near it, right?
It is. You can't predict it. Exactly. I was on the 9, though. Just kidding.
That's awesome. All right. So what's next for you?
Again, we're going to be rolling out the subscriber strategy going forward. I have a couple of the subscribers that are commenting, hey, this is not my type of strategy, but hey, good job rolling it out, Joe. And I agree. The strategy that I'm going through is actually a very aggressive strategy. And I promise, the subscriber emailed me. He's from Florida, and he was actually up in Green Bay visiting his wife's family over the Thanksgiving holiday. And he kind of explained the strategy over an email to me. And I said, hey, that's kind of interesting. I said, do you mind if I roll it out? And there's a lot of moving parts to it. So so my goal right now is just to roll it out for at least 10 shooters and see how it does. Like I said, I used it in the casino last night, not 100% my strategy, but I was actually surprised on how well it worked in a short run, even though I had a lot of money out there in the beginning. I have $100, $150 to start off in the beginning with the shooter on the table, right? And it was amazing on how neutral balanced it was. It worked out a lot better in the casino than I thought it would. But my goal is to roll this out for a bunch of shooters, and then kind of pick it apart, kind of like what you do, what Greg does. What all you guys do is you take a strategy. Hey, this is what I would do differently. That's what my plan is with this strategy.
Well, what you got to do.
So I have a couple of videos of rolling it out.
What you should do with that is roll, once or twice, it'll do good or do bad. Roll the same strategy 50, 60, 100 times. You'll start finding all the weak points. Where's the soft spot? Where can I improve it? And that's what Jacob's challenging too, right? Is find the weak points, make it your own. The Horseman, we started it a different couple of ways. Now I have a new way that I kind of roll it out, and I transition from it because I've found the weak spots in it as I play it more. And I've morphed it again to where I want it to be. So that's I'd love to see you kind of take that take that strategy and just kind of
Sure.
work it, make it yours. That's gonna be great. So
Yeah. Yeah, and
sweet.
that's my goal is, I want to make it so it's something I'm comfortable with, and maybe that might be part of my building the bankroll strategy then,
Yeah.
the strategy is definitely not for beginners. It's definitely a strategy that has a lot of moving parts. It's kind of like Brian's stuff has a lot of moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it also is a strategy that takes a little bit of guts because you're putting, a lot of your profits are going right back out there. You have to roll quite a few rolls before you actually start bringing some of it back in, and that might be one of the things I fix. Who knows?
Right.
Again, like I said, I need to roll that out many times here to get to the point where actually the stuff jumps out to you, so you know what you want to do with it.
Yeah, and that takes hundreds of
Uh,
trials. It really does. You can't just try to once.
yeah.
It takes hundreds of trials to get to the point where you get a feel for, like I said, soft spots and everything else. So, all right, cool.
Mhm.
We got to roll. I'm gonna do a quick check in on the
Okay.
money, real quick.
Okay.
And
Hey,
yeah,
congratulations.